Dave Popple on the camera here on the other side. He founded Psynet, and Psynet is a team of corporate psychologists that were deeply focused on identifying and retaining the talent of their client organizations. You can find out more about it on the website. They do this primarily through Dave's guidance. They put together proprietary assessments for selection and succession, evaluation of teams within the organizations, and they go deep on developing and fostering growth in the teams and for individuals as well. And one of the things I want to talk to him about has to do with this other thing they do. They help organizations think through structure, organizational structure, which leads to culture, actually, I would argue. Dave, so good to see you. You're looking very comfortable in the Nevada sunshine.
Thank you, Dave. Boy, it's good to see you again. And by the way, I don't know if all of your listeners get to tell, but I think you're about half the man you used to be.
I've been working on it, work in progress. Thanks for noticing. Question number one. What are the challenges you see right now while we're going through this whole thing to existing organizational cultures / structures?
So I think the biggest challenge is that we have been organizing the structures of our companies very similar to the way the military is organized for a long, long time. And what I mean by that is that there's somebody at the top, and then they have a couple of lieutenants, they have a couple of captains, and it moves straight down that way. And those companies became very reliant at the person at the top to be able to give direction. And honestly, that worked really, really well for the military. It worked really, really well for the capitalist economies of the 60s, 70s, 80s, maybe even the 90s. But it doesn't work very well now that we have had to disperse our workforce into all these little enclaves or houses, and you're trying to keep those people on track. So the biggest challenge that we're having is using this old hierarchical structure and trying to manage what our people are able to deliver and what they're doing, and make all the decisions for them when we're just not connected like we used to be.
Well, sort of following that military analogy, it's sort of like what military strategists and technologists talk about now as sort of being asymmetric warfare. You know what I mean? Where those old structures kind of get in the way of addressing those troubles, those challenges. Right. All right, so I know you're not a quick fix guy, but I'm going to hit you with a quick fix question. Feel free to push back. Can you offer any advice, any tips about what can be done in the short term to address some of these organizational or structural challenges?
I think it really starts with us getting our heads straight. And what I mean by that is that we have to learn to be able to trust the people that we have on our teams to make the types of decisions that we would make if we were in their position. Because we're not in the office next door, because the open door policy doesn't really fit anymore, we really have to rely on them. And I believe that really hits two different things. The first is, do we trust our people to have the decision-making capabilities? Do they gather the right data? Do they know the difference between facts and assumptions? Do they go through a process where they have thought things through and they're going to make a good choice? The second is, do their values align with the values that I have or the values of the organization? So if I know that they're good decision makers and that they're going to make the same value choices that I would make, I think I can trust them to be able to make more decisions than maybe I thought they could make when they were in the office next door on the floor.
But that really almost presupposes an intimate knowledge of, the thought processes, or at least the decision-making processes of these people, right?
Yep. The issue really is that if you do look at your team, or if you look at your coworkers and you don't think that they have the capability to make good decisions, or you believe that their values are completely misaligned with yours in the organization, then we have a much bigger issue around structuring.
Right. And I'm going to ask you the question I ask pretty much everybody. And that's, Dave, what lessons are we as a society, as a just a civilization? What lessons, and as a country, whatever, what lessons are we learning right now that we cannot forget? We must not forget in the future.
So we've been a society where our focus has always been on goals. Americans, especially, are achievement oriented, they're goal oriented. They set a number, they set a target, and they try to hit it. What I think the more profound lesson from what we're going through now is that we really need to focus on who we are as an organization. So, what is our identity? What are our values? What is our transformational purpose? And once we really get comfortable with that and understand that, then let the natural systems and processes and procedures come out of that identity, out of that purpose. And if we put those two things together, we understand who we are, we understand what actions are required to reflect who we are, then we're going to get the optimal results.
Hmm.
Now, well, go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry.
No, no, no. Please continue. I interrupted. Go ahead.
There's one other thing that I think that's really important is that we have been taught by this epidemic and the things that are coming out of it that we can't really predict where things are going to go. Mm-hmm. But as long as we put together our systems, processes, and procedures that reflect our identity and purpose and values, then we're always going to get the very best result, though it may not meet our goals because there's so many things now we can't predict.
You once recommended a book to me a long time ago that I read and I loved. I still refer to it back and every now and then. It's the Logic of Failure. Yeah, it's a great book. But just it's an amazing book. But the takeaway from that book overall was people without an understanding or at least an appreciation for kind of like systems thinking, how there are some small gears, there are some big gears. Little things here have ripple effects later. You know what I mean? That you could be in trouble, especially with how complex all of this stuff is.
Mm-hmm. And it's such a great story and I recommend that anybody should read that one. Still, it's probably now 15 years old. The thing that really makes that interesting in our current situation is that it's arguably the reason why COVID has been so powerful is because the system itself has been stretched.
Right. Exactly.
People don't eat bats if there's plenty of food. Right.
Right. So, okay. The book, once again, it's called The Logic of Failure, and the author is is it Dietrich Dorner?
Dorner, yeah, Dietrich Dorner. I think it's Doerner, and there's an umlaut or something on one of those vowels.
Yeah, there's like a picture of a train crash on the cover or something like that. It was terrific. Dave, it is so great to see you. I'm insanely jealous that I'm not in the nice warm weather like you are. It's very cold spring here in the Northeast, but I look forward to seeing you again real soon, okay?
Yeah, likewise. We can't wait to get back to New York City. That's our home.
You take care.
All right, bye.